What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So we have got some stuff to talk about when it comes to Xabi Alonso here. I mean, he's now looking like he's going to be the leading candidate for the job at Chelsea. And this is surprising given that what we're going to be talking about here is that the ownership seems like they're going to relinquish some type of control when it comes to him, which makes you question why didn't they just do this with other managers? But we'll go ahead and get started into it. If you like these kind of videos, drop a like, sub, comment, do what you all have been doing. I love the support lately. It means a lot. I'm on the road to 2,000 subs. Hit that sub button if you haven't. I'm really trying to hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year, and it would mean a lot. But let's go ahead and dive into this, man. I mean, where do we begin, right? I'll tell you where we're going to begin. We're going to start with this post from David Ornstein that we're going to pull up here real quick. So it says here, right? Alonso has been on Chelsea's wish list ever since they sacked Liam Rossini. It would make a lot of sense. He would instantly command the respect of the dressing room, which I believe is true. Then David Ornstein spoke on NBC Sports out here in the United States, where Spurs drew against Leeds 1-1, which now it doesn't make them safe, which means the game against Chelsea next weekend, and if West Ham could beat Newcastle away at the weekend, that game against Spurs is going to mean a hell of a lot more than it already does in general. But it says here, my information is that Xabi Alonso is not under consideration at Liverpool at all, and that Liverpool fully intend to go into next season with Arne Slot as their coach, right? Which is very, very, very surprising in my opinion. I thought they would get rid of him given how bad they've been this season, but maybe he does need one more season. He's had injuries to a few of the players that were brought in, but again, when you have a squad like that and you spend like that, and it's coming from a Chelsea fan, right? You have to perform better, especially as defending champions. So another thing that we pull up here is Xabi Alonso is not under consideration at Liverpool, and they intend to stick with Slot. They think that it will be crucial to recruit wingers, and once they come in, that's when you can perhaps judge Arne Slot more fairly, which I could agree with. Mo Salah's not going to be there next season. Maybe they go out in the market and they go get more qualified wingers for the style of play that Arne Slot wants. But again, I think he's lost the dressing room to be perfectly honest. And I don't know if keeping Arne Slot is going to be the best thing going forward for Liverpool in the next season. Because in my opinion, I think Liverpool are going to be the exact same as they are this season. When you splash luxuriously, as you've seen with Chelsea, it doesn't guarantee you're going to get results like that, right? Then another thing is Jamie Carragher spoke on this on Sky Sports. I think it would be a big coup for Chelsea. I'm sure he would love to manage Liverpool one day, but Chelsea is one of the biggest clubs in European football at the moment, and we still are, given how bad we've been this season. You still want to say that Chelsea are one of the bigger teams in Europe because generally they are recognized as that. And one more post here from JNR, that a guy that I don't like his Enzo Fernandez takes, but he's generally a guy that's been on board with getting Xabi Alonso through the door. Xabi Alonso might actually be the Chelsea manager next season. I'm starting to believe in more now. It would be the first time under this ownership that they hired a top target head coach. Please give him the keys to the kingdom. And, you know, I'm here for it, right? Xabi Alonso sets his team up in a way to play very entertaining football in a 3-4-2-1 formation. Now, we saw that against Brighton. It didn't work out because Liam Rossini is not a top-tier manager. A system that certainly suits the players in Chelsea squad, which I agree with. You have the right midfielders, you have good wingbacks, and you have two attacking mids in behind that center forward that can link up with João Pedro, and he's going to probably want another center forward in his ranks. So my thinking is if you get him, you need to recruit the players for Xabi Alonso, which it said here that he's going to have more power to bring in the players that he wants that fits his style of football that this team desperately needs. And another thing that was interesting is I've seen a lot of people say that, you know, Chelsea need to be better defensively organized and hit players on the counter. I've been saying this for the better part of 2 or 3 years. Chelsea play better on the counterattack. Why? Because they don't have the players to play that possession style that the managers that they brought in are able to do. This team is better on the counterattack. We saw that over the summer against PSG. You overload on one side and you hit PSG on the counter high up the pitch because they lose the ball in midfield. You're on Vitinha and he's not able to find those passing lanes that he's been finding this season and a lot of last season. You're going to be able to beat teams like PSG. He would be the answer, in my opinion, to get this team to play on the counterattack more. And I believe he would unlock Cole Palmer's full potential if you're able to bring him in, right? And then one other thing here before I go back to the full face cam is Xabi Alonso is open to a new chapter in the Premier League. He would be open to joining Chelsea. Chelsea are yet to decide who they want and are being careful in the process during internal talks. Discussions ongoing. They want the right man. And, you know, this is the kind of stuff here that I'm talking about, right? Give me a second here. Like, these are the things that I'm talking about here. Xabi Alonso would be the ideal man to bring into the squad now, into this club now, to really fix everything up. If the ownership isn't planning on leaving, and I still believe they do need to sell up and leave, if they get this appointment wrong or if Xabi Alonso does go wrong here, the ownership is the only ones that are going to be to blame for this. Xabi Alonso has the CV being at Real Madrid, going undefeated with Bayer Leverkusen, but at the end of the day, he's going to command the respect of the players. And this is the thing that people need to understand here is that you need to get these players back on side and believing that they can go out there and be anybody. I believe Xabi Alonso would be able to get Enzo Fernandez to play and get him to that world-class potential. He would unlock a Moises Caicedo. He would make Reece James an even better footballer off of that. Esteval would actually look absolutely wicked under Xabi Alonso. Cole Palmer, in my opinion, would be unlocked even more if you bring him in. João Pedro would become a much more elite striker than he already is, right? These are the kind of things that if you bring Xabi Alonso in, you need to make sure that he has control over the footballing decisions that are going on at the club, not the business side of things. You let the owners handle that, but they're fumbling the bag there. You need to allow the manager to cook with the players that he wants to bring in. This is what Enzo Maresca wanted, and I'm sure Thomas Tuchel wanted that, and I'm sure Pochettino wanted that too. You have to let Xabi Alonso do his job, right? The one thing that I'm sure managers hate, whether you're a football manager or you're a manager at a restaurant, is your boss coming in and then trying to do things his way. You have to trust the person that you put in charge of your establishment is able to get the job done. And if you're bringing in Xabi Alonso and you're saying these things about how you're going to do your due diligence, time of self-reflection, then you really need to sit here and let the guy do his job. Don't micromanage team selections. Don't sit there and have the medical staff get involved. They can recommend certain players can't play. And if they can't play, don't force them back on there because you're trying to up their transfer value. That's something that cannot happen anymore. At this club needs to get back into those European spots, those Champions League spots, and Chelsea should be generally challenging for the Premier League. The squad that we assembled is good enough to get into the top 5 of the Premier League. But when you chop and change managers, there's no consistency, there's no identity that Enzo Maresca had built for a season and a half. You strip that away because he speaks out. What happens if Xabi Alonso speaks out? Are you going to sack him immediately? You're going to probably pay him a shit ton of money, right, to even get him through the door. Now, the question is, where is the money to spend here, right? Are you going to have to sell players, the deadwood in the team, and keep your best players? You sell your Alejandro Garnachos. You sell your Liam Delaps, bro. You sell your Wesley Fofanas, right? You may even have to sell your Flip Jorgensens. You're going to have to sell some players to get funds to get the player that Xabi Alonso needs. And this is my hesitation with this, is which players are going to be sacrificed here in order to get the players that Xabi Alonso wants. Now, it's not confirmed that he's manager. It's not confirmed that he's going to sit here and be on the touchline next season. But if the reports that we're seeing here from the big boys in terms of journalism, David Ornstein's, Fabrizio Romano's, right? If we're seeing stuff like that, then there's something simmering behind the scenes here. Liverpool are out of the race. They're sticking with Arne Slot, which means Chelsea have they should be fully focused on getting this man to put pen to paper and get him through the door before the World Cup because the man needs a preseason and the man needs to be part of their recruitment strategy that they're trying to do. Because if the owners aren't planning on selling, and I still think they need to sell and get out, this is going to be honestly the last window where you can make amends. If you don't do it here, they have to sell up. Xabi Alonso is literally their last thread of hope here. And I'm not for Blue Co. I want Blue Co. out. And I could even put this on screen for you guys, man. And it's like, I've been saying this. Simple message. Blue Co. out. Get the hell out. Right? At the end of the day, if they can't get this deal over the line, or if he comes in and it goes south, Blue Co's absolutely has to go. This is Blue Co's last chance. If they get Xabi Alonso through the door, I don't know how a lot of Chelsea fans will feel, but I'll tell you how I'll feel about it. I'll feel good knowing that there's a manager here who's serious and wants to win. We've seen him win silverware. It's unfortunate what happened to him at Real Madrid because I don't think it was entirely his fault. The players didn't want to play under his system. And when you have personalities at Real Madrid that are very egotistical, and we're seeing how dysfunctional they are right now, right? You got Valverde going to the hospital with getting into a fight with Tchouaméni. Rudiger is slapping players in the dressing room and on the training pitch. What more needs to be said about that club right now, right? They finished second once again to Barcelona. They've gone a second straight season now with no silverware. It wasn't on Xabi Alonso. The players at Real Madrid are the issue right now. But to get back to Xabi Alonso and Chelsea, if they can find a way to get this man through the door, I think some hope will be restored that next season we can figure something out, that we can actually cook something up. But until then, until I see him pen to paper, holding up the jersey, and his first few quotes that aren't PR from the ownership, I'll be on board with Xabi Alonso. It doesn't matter who he's played for in the past. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this club needs stability, and these players need consistency and a voice and somebody to listen to. And someone that they'll respect. They respected Enzo Maresca for a reason. Xabi Alonso, a former player, Enzo Maresca played too, but not to the level of Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso would command respect from the big players in that dressing room, your Cole Palmers, your Enzo Fernandezes, your Moises Caicedos, your Estevaos, your João Pedros, your Reece James. They would give him respect the minute he walks through the door because they know that he's serious. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Those are my thoughts on Xabi Alonso and Chelsea. Let's hope and pray that as Chelsea fans, he comes through the door. Because if he's not coming through the door, who do Chelsea fans really want to be manager at this point? We can't continue to say, oh, he's a former Liverpool player and this and that. No, that shit needs to go out the window. He's not going to come here and intentionally sabotage his own job because it's Chelsea, bro. He's not going to do that. So with that being said, I'm Jason, No Filter Chelsea. Drop a like, comment, sub, do all those cool things. Share this video. Blue Co out as usual. You know, we're going to put this back up on screen right here. Blue Co out. If they get this appointment right and they actually start progressing, then maybe we'll have a conversation about, you know, what this ownership is really trying to do. But until then, it's still Blue Co out. It'll always be Blue Co out. Johnny Minerals, I'm sorry that your channel got taken down, bro. But you're speaking the truth about what's going on. Xabi Alonso would somewhat mask over what's going on at the club, but we need a serious manager in this club to get this club back on the right foot. So again, drop a like, comment, sub, drop your thoughts and opinions on who you want as Chelsea manager. I want Xabi Alonso. I've said Cesc Fabregas, but Xabi Alonso honestly is the ideal guy that we should be going for. But with that being said, up the Chelsea, keep the blue flag flying high, and I love you all. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.